Today, we're diving into a really powerful teaching strategy. It's one that flips running from just passively memorizing stuff into an active, hands-on process of discovery. It's called the concept attainment model. So just think about it for a second. How did you actually learn what a cat is? I'm guessing nobody sat you down with a dictionary and made you memorize the definition, right? Nah. You probably saw a little furry one sleeping by the fire, maybe a huge one at the zoo, a black one, a white one, a fluffy one. You also saw things that were definitely not cats, like your neighbor's big, goofy dog. And without even realizing it, your brain started to notice what all the cats had in common while ignoring all the little differences. And boom, you formed the concept of cat. But in school, so often we do the exact opposite. We're just handed a word and a definition and told to remember it. Well, the concept attainment model completely flips that around. It gets us back to that more natural, kind of a detective-like way of learning. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll start with why we need to go beyond memorization. Then, we'll peek inside the mind's filing cabinet to understand the theory. After that, you'll see the model in action, and you'll get to play along. We'll cover the benefits of the hunt, check out how to adapt the method, and finally, it's your turn as a detective. Okay, so what's the big idea here? Why do we even need a special model for something our brains seem to do naturally? Well, it all comes down to how our minds manage to deal with a ridiculously complex world. This idea really comes from the foundational work of psychologist Jerome Bruner. He was fascinated by how we avoid just getting totally overwhelmed by information. I mean, think about it. You're faced with millions of different objects, people, and experiences every day. Your brain doesn't treat every single one as something brand new. Instead, it categorizes. It's like it's building a giant mental filing system to keep things organized. And that is exactly what a concept is. It's basically the label on one of those file folders in your brain. And it's incredibly efficient. Once you have the concept of dog, you don't have to relearn what a dog is every single time you see a new one. So here's the kicker. This model is designed to teach that exact categorization process, but to do it deliberately.
All right, so that's the theory. Let's get to the fun part and see how this actually works in practice. We're going to treat this like a little investigation. You get to be the detective, and the examples I give you are your clues.
So here are the 8 core steps of the model. It starts with the teacher doing some prep work. But the real magic, the part where the learning really happens, kicks in from step 4 onward. That's the investigation phase, where you, the learner, start generating ideas, testing them out, and eventually building your own definition from scratch. Okay, ready to play? I've got a concept in my head, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. Instead, I'm going to show you some examples that fit the concept, and we'll call those yes examples, and some that don't, which we'll call no examples. Here's your first clue. On the left, a yes example. On the right, a no example. Now they're both about a ship on the ocean, but only one of them fits my mystery concept. So start thinking. What's the real difference between these two sentences? What's the essential ingredient in that yes example that the no one is missing? Just form a quick guess, a hypothesis in your mind. Okay, you got a hypothesis? Great. Let's test it with a second clue. The new yes example is, the moon, a silver coin, rose in the sky. The no example is, the moon was like a silver coin. Notice that key difference there? So does your first idea still hold up? Or do you need to adjust it a little bit? Look at both of the yes examples together. The ship plows the sea, and the moon, a silver coin. What's the one thing they both do that the no examples don't? And the mystery concept is a metaphor. See what just happened? You didn't just memorize a definition I gave you, you actually built it yourself. You figured out its bigger category, what we call the superordinate concept, is a figure of speech. And you nailed down the essential rules, the criterial attributes. It's a direct comparison, and it never uses the words like or as. You discovered all that just by looking at the clues.
So, was that all worth it? I mean, why go on this whole hunt instead of me just giving you the definition up front? Well, the benefits are huge, and they go way, way beyond just learning one single concept.
This method is like a workout for your brain. It builds up your inductive reasoning muscles, going from specifics to a general rule. It absolutely requires you to be an active participant, and you get to practice generating and testing hypotheses, which is a massive skill in science, in business, in life. It also teaches you to be comfortable with ambiguity, that feeling of not knowing the answer for a little while and being okay with it. It's all about the process. Now, this model isn't some rigid do it this way or else formula. It's actually a super flexible framework that you can adapt, and how you evaluate learning is a bit different too.
For example, you don't have to give the clues one by one. You could just throw all the examples on the table at once for a bigger challenge. Or, for a really good test of understanding, you could give someone a whole pile of unlabeled examples and have them sort them into the yes and no piles. You can even have them create their own examples to prove they've got it down.
An assessment here, it's got nothing to do with a multiple-choice quiz. The real test is, can the learner now act like the expert? Can they define the concept in their own words, list out those core rules, and, most importantly, correctly identify brand new examples they've never seen before? That's when you know they truly get it.
So let's bring this all home. We've seen the why, we've seen the how, and we've seen the payoff. But the real power of this model isn't just in what it teaches, but in how it teaches us to think.
This right here is the biggest takeaway. Every time you use this model, you're actually doing two amazing things at once. You're teaching the content, sure, like what a metaphor is, but you're also teaching the very process of thinking itself. It's metacognition in action. It helps us become more aware of and more in control of our own thought processes.
So, I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Think about a concept. Could be from science, history, art, maybe even something from your job. How could you teach it or learn it yourself in a much deeper way? Not by starting with a definition, but by going on a hunt for its essential attributes, using a few good yes and no examples.
Thanks so much for digging into this with us. The ideas and examples we explored today were drawn from these key sources in instructional theory.